I don't know about you, Espo, but it seemed like the Suns were ripe for a victory.
They got it right off the bat.
Let's go! Psychos and sickos unite for a much-needed post-game win edition of PHNX Suns, of course, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for 5 and get $200 in bonus bets. We appreciate all of you spending your Halloween night with us as the Phoenix Suns took down the Utah Jazz 118-96. I am your banana host for the day. I'm Eric. We've got Batman, a.k.a. Espo, also joining me as well. We got the freckled Mamba, who doesn't need a costume because he's the freckled damn Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Steven will be calling in from the aptly named morgue later as the Suns move to 1-0 in NBA Cup play, Espo, but more importantly, they made us feel good tonight with a massive win over the Jazz.
It was an amazing.
Nookie Monster?
I was doing the Batman voice all night. I did it while trick-or-treating. Unbelievable start to this game and how they jumped out on Utah. It was pretty clear that Jordan Ott went back, watched the film from that first matchup, and figured out ways that they could better attack Utah. Great defense, even better offense. Overall, this was the best that we've seen this team play. It was a complete 4 quarters. And for those of you that were concerned, I think we can at least put that to rest for one night.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot that you can overreact from one game, and trust me, I'll get into all of it. But it's a good feeling, and honestly, when you looked at the Suns' losses so far this season, you saw something there. And the frustrating part was that the wins didn't come with it. Tonight, there were multiple things that you can look back and say, wasn't that great. And the Suns still found a way to win by 20, by the way, still without Jalen Green, still without Dillon Brooks as well. This is a team that looked like they wanted to go out there and kick some ass. And that's exactly what they did. That's the mentality that they've had all season, but it just hasn't matched when they've gotten on the court. This is the first time they've played an opponent for the second time this season. It's the first time they faced off against somebody that beat them. And they were so close last game in overtime. And this team took them down. Like, to be able to come out in the start of that game and to start 0 of 8 from 3 and still have your highest scoring first quarter of the season is amazing. The points in the paint, the pressure against these 7-footers, the defensive versatility that they showed off. And at the end of the day, Espo, Devin Booker went off tonight, and Devin Booker was the best player on the court tonight, and that was a very welcome sight.
Well, Devin Booker reminded people of just who he is, especially offensively tonight, which is, I don't know that it was needed. I mean, this is the 5th of 6 games that he's had 30 or more points. He's averaging 30.3 points for the year, but this was the first time it felt like he took over, if that makes sense, from start to finish. There were pockets where you knew that Book was going to go out there and do Book things, and it felt good. It felt good to see a quick start because this first half, percentages had been a little rough to start the season. But tonight came out, took care of business, and set the tone for this offense. He at times wasn't on the ball as much early on, which helped get him going. Then he also got the passing going as well, finished with 9 assists overall. Like the team, the first total performance we've seen from Devin Booker first through fourth quarters. This all is extremely encouraging, especially like you said, without Jalen Green, without Dillon Brooks. We didn't see the full accompaniment of what they can do yet either. So great adjustments, great offense from Devin Booker. tonight. Great on the defensive end too. There were some pressures that he put on that caused turnovers by the Jazz. Overall, really, really good tonight.
Yeah, I mean, for no secret and for all the reasons, Devin Booker, of course, is our dude of the night, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Espo, you mentioned some of his stats. Well, here's his full line from the night. 36 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 13 of 23 from the field. That's good for 56.5%. 6 of 9 from deep. That's 66.7%. And shot 4 of 5 from the free throw line. Devin Booker is, of course, now averaging over 30 points per game on the season. I believe he was averaging 29 coming into tonight. This is his 3rd straight game. Okay, he's averaging 29.2, tied for 8th in the league. This is his 3rd straight game scoring 30-plus points. He's only been under 30 points one time this season. And the thing is, Espo, it wasn't the stats tonight, because we've seen Devin Booker record good statistical games. In fact, probably better statistical games, especially in the assist department, than tonight. But he felt like he was in full control, confident, attacking when he needed to attack. The Suns didn't hit a three-pointer until, guess what? Devin Booker went down the court and decided, I'm taking a three-pointer. Suns stalled out a little bit. Guess what? In the second half, Devin Booker decides to continue to turn it up. Suns need to put the game away. Devin Booker has the ball in his hands, and Devin Booker's hitting shots and getting to the free throw line. He did what superstars do, and that is take over when they need to take over, but he didn't forget about his teammates. His teammates played well, but nobody else had an incredibly high-scoring performance tonight. Devin Booker was the Phoenix Suns tonight, and a day after his birthday, I think he deserved to go out and celebrate.
Oh, I mean, he dictated everything offensively, and when he wasn't scoring, he was where the defense was focusing. I mean, you saw it in that play later in the game where Devin kind of was figuring out if he was going to shoot in the lane. The second defender comes up on him, and he hits Ryan Dunn cutting to the hoop. Like, he was the epicenter of everything offensively tonight. And let me just say, body language was spectacular.
Oh, are you sure?
100%, like it usually is.
You know, Espo, we talked about it in pregame. By we, I mean, I guess just me to myself. But people are like, why is Devin Booker angry? It's like, dude, he missed 2 go-ahead buckets at the end of the game, and they just lost another close game. They're 1-4 on the season. And, like, he's been playing fine, but we've all been saying he hasn't been playing his best. Do we expect the guy to be happy and cheerful and skipping? No, he'd be crucified if he did that.
Let's be honest. Booker's never been the happy-go-lucky. Booker's been the guy that is locked in. This is a guy that idolized Kobe Bryant. That's not exactly Mr. Happy-go-lucky. This is about going out there and locking in, right? And that's what Devin Booker does. And reading anything into that mannerism is insane, because that's what he's always been. So he went out there and did more tonight of the same, but did a little bit earlier, which was big. And like I said earlier, now averaging 30.3 points per game. I did the math by hand earlier.
Okay, I was waiting for the update, and they hadn't updated it, but I've got my Espo calculator with me.
Yep. So I mean, he's doing what people wanted. They thought he was going to have one of his best seasons scoring. He's doing that, right?
Yeah,
and that's what it is right now.
One of the things I really enjoyed was there were some times that Utah just single covered Devin Booker and just left him alone, whether it was against that rookie Harkless or there was another guy that they left on an island with Book, and there was no hesitation there. Booker attacked him, hit a couple post fadeaways, got to the paint. If he's ever seeing single coverage ever, which doesn't happen often, but should happen more often when Jalen Green is on the court for this team, he needs to shoot the ball like 90% of the time, because this guy's so used to seeing 2, 3, sometimes hell, even 4 bodies being thrown at him with no regard for everybody else on the court and still hitting shots. When he's single covered, he's damn near unstoppable. And and with Book, Espo, like, you know, beginning of the seasons have always been a little bit rough for him. And I know that it hasn't been like a barn burner, but if this is Devin Booker not at his best this season, what do we think his averages could be if he does hit that next level every single game?
Well, yeah. I mean, he could obviously continue to go up a step. And we still haven't seen that huge performance. This is fairly average for Devin Booker getting 30, mid 30s. It's not anything surprising. There is probably another level, but in a night like tonight, you didn't need that additional scoring. You needed him to pass. He got on the boards. He did everything that you would want from Devin Booker. And I don't know if the Jazz coaching staff thought they were Drew Petzing going up against Micah Parsons. How do you single cover Devin Booker at any point? I mean, the reason why other teams have seen success this year is they're sending double, triple teams, and you decide to go one-on-one against him. Good luck with that. Didn't really work out real well for him.
Yeah, and I think part of that is also, we gave credit to Jordan Ott, or at least we're looking forward to the fact that, hey, he's playing a team that they already played. Look at the adjustments. Look at the coaching. He spoke about how they were going to defend Lauri Markkanen. Of course, Lauri, still scored a lot, but he didn't have 51 tonight, and they did make him work pretty hard for the points that he did get. Also on the offensive end, I just think they found a better way to attack a staunch Utah defense and finding ways to get Book, like you mentioned, off the ball early and get him in a rhythm. Then when Book is on the ball later in the game, which he's still not dribbling the ball up the court most of the time, they're still giving it to Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal, or sometimes Oso Ighodaro is dribbling up the court to get whatever action they want to run initiated. But when Book is now in a rhythm, it's so much easier for him to determine when he's going to step on the gas and when he's going to pass the ball. And that was kind of the big thing for him was, hey, are you being the guy who's pushing the issue? Are you being a guy who's being too passive? Is Dylan Brooks taking more shots than you really what this offense should look like? I think when Devin Booker is in that mode and in that groove of just hitting a shot every time he takes one, or at least over 50% of the time, he actually becomes a better passer because there's so much gravity that it helps him read and hit Ryan Dunn on a really good cut or swing it out to a Colin Gillespie or a Grayson or a Royce. Devin Booker, when he gets on fire offensively, he's not like many other superstars where I think it actually ups his passing a level too. He's a special talent. We're lucky to have him. And if he continues to play like this, he's going to be certified all-star. And if the Suns start winning games, a dark horse MVP candidate.
Well, he's still top 3 in the league and has been all year in terms of potential assists created. He was 15 and a half where he was at. What the difference over the last handful of games is his teammates are starting to make those shots too. This offense has gotten open looks throughout the year. They're starting to hit those, and that's becoming a big reason why it's looking better. And the movement, you can't deny. I mean, think about what we watched over the last couple of years in terms of offense. There's so much movement now and different ways that they're using Devin and the entire offense that you can see the building blocks of where they want to get. You add in Jalen Green and you start to understand what Jordan Ott's trying to build. Tonight was a great example of getting Devin Booker open in a myriad of ways. It wasn't just one way. It wasn't just Book, dribble the air of the ball and try to get yourself a shot. It was move him around the court, find him, have guys cutting. This is what the offense is predicated on. And I like what Jordan Ott's been doing. And if you looked closely enough, even in some of those rough games, that was how the offense was still operating and was getting looks. They're hitting them now. And all of a sudden, hey, it all clicks and you get a 118-96 win and everybody's feeling pretty good about things. Tonight was a great example of what they can be when things are clicking.
Yeah, and when things are clicking is so interesting because it's an 82-game season. Things are not going to click every single night. But one thing I'm pretty confident with this Suns team, with the personnel, with the coaching, and with some of the youth on the roster, is they're going to be better as the season goes on, right? And that's what we've seen. Look, game 1 against the Kings, the only other win the Suns have had so far this season, they didn't play that great. They just had an incredible comeback in the second half, but that masked a lot of issues. Then you get, blown out against LA. Then you get blown out against Denver. You have a couple competitive first-ish quarters in both of those games, but that's it. Okay, where's the improvement? Where are you getting better? Then you go to Utah, another bad start, but you fight back in the second half. Something starts to click, and boom, you're back in that game. You force OT on the road against what I still believe to be a pesky and very interesting Utah Jazz team in this Western Conference. Okay, then what do you do next game? Coming off of a loss. That's your first hot start of the season. Mark Williams starts. You shut down Memphis off rip. You start the game hot, and you almost win. You lose in regulation, but it's close. But it felt like their best played game of the season. What do you do after that? There's a natural progression. This was by far and away their best played game of the season. It started with yet another hot start on both sides of the ball. Maybe not from three, but every other part of the game. And that they were so far ahead of the Jazz that even when the Jazz started to get in a rhythm, the Suns' lead held. They bent, but they did not break, and they showed a mental fortitude that a lot of teams lack, and then they ballooned back up to win this game by 20. Espo, that's a steady progression on the way up, and the whole season's not going to be like that, but it gives you a peek in the mind of what these guys are made of, still without two of their three best players.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Ott obviously knows what he's doing in terms of the levers he's trying to pull. Will they always work? Of course not. No coach is going to bat 1,000, to mix my sports metaphors here on a basketball show.
You got three different ones now. You got football, baseball, and basketball.
Yeah, I mean, and so to me, I think that is something you got to keep in mind when you're a Suns fan watching this. A lot of this year is going to be about what adjustments do you make? How do you continue to grow? How do you build on the good things and accept that sometimes bad things are going to happen, like the turnovers? They cut that down tonight as well. He leaned into, instead of trying to match size with size, at times he was going smaller to try to gain an advantage with the strength that this team has. There's little things that he's learning, that this team's learning about itself, and that's why 5 games in, you can't freak out about little things because there hasn't been time for adjustment. Now, to your point, it won't be a straight line. This isn't going to be, now they're gonna rip off 20 straight wins and all of a sudden you're a number one contender in the West. But this is where you go, all right, starts to make sense. You look at what's going on. You show the guys the tape from tonight and you go, okay, that's the way you need to play on Sunday against the Spurs. And here's the little things that you can take out, in how you played in this game that'll apply to the way the Spurs play. But here's how we have to change our strategy based on the players they have. This is all about building blocks. Tonight was a big jump for sure, and even more tape that they can use to figure out how do they continue to play to their strengths and what exactly are their strengths. You got to figure that out too as a new coach and with this new roster.
Well, we are going to name our blue collar boy of the night here in a second. Of course, we just named our dude of the night, but I got to name our dude of the chat, Eli Novato. Welcome to the MVP. Welcome to being a member. Thank you so much for joining, Eli. You get access to exclusive emojis, including the SMW emoji, the SMW meter. The Suns must-win meter was a 7.6 today. Espo, you were at a 10. I was at a 9 today. Steven was at a 3, but that's just how Steven rolls.
I was a 10 for the fan sanity. I didn't.
It worked.
Not the team. The fans needed it badly.
And the fans got it, Espo. We're going to continue to talk about a much-needed win. We're going to name our blue-collar boy of the night. We'll look at the numbers. We'll talk about our favorite play. And, yes, we will break down every single player that hit the court tonight. We're going to do it all after our first break. Listen, I absolutely love telling you about the husband and wife law team, but I don't love why you would have to call them, because the serious injury and, of course, a wrongful death is no laughing matter. And you need to do your research before getting a lawyer to help you out with that cause. Mark and Alexis Breyer are the husband and wife law team, and they love Phoenix, and they are the most experienced lawyers that you can get. Their team brings hundreds of years of combined trial experience with multiple certified professional specialists in personal injury and wrongful death. A certified specialist by the State Bar of Arizona is less than 1% of all lawyers, and they are specialized in injury and wrongful death litigation. They promise that you can access an attorney at all times, and their practice is 100% dedicated to injury and wrongful death. Plus, their lawyers, they actually go to trial. If you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841. That's 602-783-8841, or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com.
Let me tell you about somewhere that, I haven't been successful yet this year, but I will be eventually. It's with our friends at Bet365. It's never ordinary with Bet365. over 90 million users worldwide. They live stream 780,000 events each year, and they have special payout offers across the NBA, the NHL, MLB, NFL, whatever you're into, they've got it. I mean, hell, they have betting across 78 different sports. I didn't even know there were 78 different sports, but if you want to place a wager on one of them, they've got you covered. And right now, they have so many deals, but with football, they've got the early payout where if your team goes up by 17 and you've put a wager on the money line, that bet pays out right away. Even if it's part of your parlay, that'll count as a win in that parlay. So breaking news from Bet365, new customers now get 200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up using the promo code PHNX365, deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 to get 200 in bonus bets, even if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and over, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
Big shout out to everybody spending your Halloween Friday night with the Banana and Batman duo. We'll have Steven calling in from the morgue pretty soon.
Brent, I have both gloves. I just can't use the touch screen with one of them on. I'll put it on though. Just
Meatloaf says Batman didn't get rich by not gambling. Michael Ramirez with a $10 super chat. Thanks so much, Michael. Says, I really like how Book played tonight. It seemed easy for him. He finished with 9 assists, but Goodwin, Allen, and Dunn did Book no favors on the kick-out threes. Wide open looks should be money. That's one thing, man. The Suns did not shoot great tonight, and we'll get to the numbers later, but they were still able to pull off a 20-point victory. That is a good sign all around. And again, hopefully that can swing in the right direction for them as the season goes on and that evens out. But Espo, we talked about Book a lot. I think it's time to get into some of the other role players. I think it's time to talk about our favorite play of the night. Love the play. Brought to you by our friends over at Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today. Espo, this was the one that had our group chat buzzing, but a certain somebody did a certain something we didn't usually expect them to do.
Yeah, I mean, Grayson Allen elevated and detonated, but it wasn't on the offensive end. It was defensively where he got the block, and it was unbelievable. I mean, this is Grayson Allen, not a guy that we know very well. And no, I'm not talking about Dick Grayson, Robin Hood. I'm talking about Grayson Allen, the guy has hops. I think we forget that sometimes, that he is fairly athletic, and he got up there and blocked a 7-footer in this game. And I think it was those little things that he had another one too later in the game where he kind of interrupted an alley-oop attempt. Also, those kind of things get your team going. And tonight it may have felt like a smaller play in the larger, kind of the larger context, to borrow a Steven word. But overall, I think that had a huge impact on the energy level, and fans loved it tonight as well in the building and outside.
I mean, yeah, the athleticism on that was really impressive. I think the reason that maybe goes underrated as to why he was able to meet a 7+ footer at the rim was the anticipation and the timing on his rotation. I mean, the fact that he was able to jump off of basically 2 feet and perfectly time that block to where it wasn't like it just hit the tip of his fingers. Like, he smacked that thing. And the anticipation from him and the defensive rotations on this team overall have been fantastic for the most part this season. And while Grayson isn't the best defender in the world, he makes up for it with his smarts, and that's a lot of guys on this team. In fact, Grayson had a lot of really great efforts tonight on both sides of the ball, and that is why we are bestowing upon him one of the greatest honors in all of basketball. That is our blue collar boy of the night. Grayson Allen, I believe, gets his first one of the season. Espo, not the greatest shooting night for Grayson Allen, even though he still ended up with 14 points. He was 5 of 15 from the field and 2 of 9 from 3. But the shooting stats for a rare occasion were not what made Grayson Allen so impactful tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he put all his effort out there on the court. And when you don't have a good shooting night and you're known as a shooter, you have to do those other little things and do them well. And that was what he did. He brought the lunch pail and took care of business on the defensive end, and in a way that you don't always expect him to, like we talked about. So he deserves blue collar boy more than anybody tonight. And congratulations on his first one of the year. If he was hitting those shots too, he may have actually been in the running for dude of the night also, with everything that he was doing. But you can't have it all some nights. So.
No, you can't have it all some nights. But again, if this team is going to get efforts like that from Grayson Allen when his shot isn't falling, it makes it a lot easier for him to continue to find his place off of the bench. And when Jalen Green comes back into this rotation, when Dylan Brooks comes back in the rotation, I mean, when you think about it, the way that Brooks has been shooting and the way that Jalen Green shoots, that might be 40 shots a night coming back into the Suns rotation. So Grayson Allen is still going to get his, but if you're able to impact the game outside of that, which kind of feels like a requisite for every single player on this roster, even the offensively talented ones, you got to be able to do it on both ends of the court. It's going to be a lot easier for him to kind of blend in when he needs to. And then when he's catching fire, that'll be the night that he has 10 attempts from three. That'll be the night that he starts taking more shots. But if he can do it defensively as well, that makes his place in the rotation, not that it wasn't solid, but that much more valuable.
Well, I mean, you're going to need it defensively, because if you're getting 40 more shots in your lineup, you're going to have to create a lot more turnovers to up those shot attempts as well. I think this is going to be a good problem to have for the Phoenix Suns when they get these additional offensive guys. Plus, Grayson takes 15 shots tonight. Well, maybe if he's in the 8 range, and he hits 4 or 5 of those threes that he takes, all of a sudden it's a different complexion to his night too, because some of these guys with a lesser shot load that they have to take will actually become more efficient as well. So I'm looking forward to getting the full contingent of offensive players out there and figuring out how it all fits together. And Grayson is a key, obviously.
Who else stood out for you tonight? I feel like we had a lot of really interesting performances.
I mean, I know he didn't have a huge numbers-wise on the stat sheet, but Mark Williams tonight, again, all over the court in a good way. Active on the boards, tipping things, getting some easy baskets on lobs. Like, overall, I like the activity that you get from Mark Williams. And it's not wasted energy. It's all things that, on the defensive end, he's making the right rotations. He's guarding guys on the perimeter if he has to. He's back at the rim protecting that and keeping people honest. This was, like we talked about, part of what they were missing when Osa was starting was that guy at the rim that you felt like, on both ends of the court would be effective, whether defensively being a deterrent to the opponent, or offensively actually being able to convert at the rim and get buckets. He has made such a huge impact with that starting lineup in these 2 games. And tonight, even though it didn't fill the stat sheet, I think he was immensely important again.
Billy Barton in the chat, which we'll get to your super chat in a second, Billy. Thank you so much. Says, he seems really engaged. And that's the thing. 9 points, 7 rebounds from him. Not the craziest stats. He did record 2 blocks, but against a team like Utah, you can't sleep for half of a second. And the way that he is able to constantly have pressure on an opposing team, he runs the court. He has great hands. He sets hard screens. He's always boxing out, always trying to grab rebounds. I never look at Mark Williams and say, dang, that guy needs a little bit more effort. And that is what the Suns team has needed at the center position for a really long time. I mean, I'm not saying I fully agree with it, but I got people in my mentions on Twitter saying some of his plays look Amari-esque. And obviously Amari is an all-time great, like top 5 player in franchise history and can go and get his own bucket way better than Mark Williams has ever been able to in his career. But I think from the effort, engagement, and activity level, Mark Williams is really catching a lot of people's attention and a lot of their eyes. Espo, this guy's still on a minutes restriction. This guy is only in his 2nd game starting, but the Suns have allowed sub 50 points in the first half in 2 games this season. That also just so happens to be the 2 games that Mark Williams has started. The numbers definitely have shown a story throughout the season, but I think tonight proved that his impact goes much beyond the box score.
Well, I mean, if there was a given F meter, he would have broken the hell out of it already, because the guy has a motor and is doing so many things. Like I was saying, active on the court. It changes a lot. Just caring. I know people laughed about this in the summer, saying, well, this team's going to care. It's going to change things in a lot of ways. But just Mark Williams' activity alone and the effort he's putting out there on the court, you go, okay, the rest of the guys have to pick up their energy just because of it, because it's going to look really bad if you're out there half-assing it. And Mark Williams is going out there and doing every little thing he can to help you win. He played really good defense on a team that is predicated on size, and we know that because we saw how they took advantage of that size in their first matchup. They did so well. I loved what I saw from him on all levels.
I love what I'm seeing from our chat. Chat's on fire on this Halloween. We'll get to your super chats. We'll talk about some more player performances. We'll get into buying the numbers. And yes, all the banana puns in the world will continue after our final break. Look, we know that we always love telling you about our sponsors here, but I love ones that really make a difference in your life. And that, of course, is Monarch. Monarch is the best personal finance app for anybody, but I want to speak specifically to the couples out there. Named the best budgeting app in 2025 by the Wall Street Journal and named Forbes' best app for couples, Monarch is the best way to stay ahead of your finances. You can track every single dollar. You can track your 401k, your retirement, your investments, your different checkings and savings accounts. And a lot of the times in relationships, money can be a big issue, and a lot of people can argue about it. But if there's no more guessing and no more hiding and no more, quote, I didn't realize we spent that much, relationships can get easier to navigate in the financial sense. And you can even give access to your financial advisor at no extra cost. So don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code PHNX at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHNX.
If you're worried about your finances, I got a way you can save a little bit of money. You can become a member of the Inner Circle today with our friends at Circle K. And you're going to start saving right away. Yeah, I just rhymed a little bit there. Not a bar.
There you go, Batman.
It's when it comes to Circle K, you become a member of the Inner Circle. You're going to save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. Then 3 cents off per gallon after that. Then you're going to hit the Bruce Wayne level. You're going to save 5 cents off per gallon, but that's not all. You're going to get 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters, 3 for $5, 8-ounce Gatorades. Great deals on food. I got a text message earlier in October where they're like, hey, guess what? All your coffee is going to be $1 for the entire month. They surprise and delight you with all sorts of things. So join the Inner Circle today for free by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply, like everything in life. At participating locations, visit circlek.com for details.
Love that we're all hanging out on the PHNX Suns post-game show presented by Bet365. The Suns get a much-needed victory, 118-96, advance to 1-0 in group play in the NBA Cup, getting revenge on Lauri Markkanen and the Utah Jazz. Want to continue to give love to our chat. A couple of super chats here. Billy Barton, $9.99 super chat, says Booker finally had a Booker scoring run this game where he got hot in Booker style and really controlled the game. I do feel like this is the first time Espo, despite the good stat lines he put up, where I was like, this is Devin Booker's game and everybody else is trying to play it.
Yeah, I mean, he was effective off the dribble. He was effective coming off screens and making buckets. The pull-up, the catch and shoot, got to his midi. It's his night when he comes down into that corner and does kind of that turnaround fadeaway and hits it at the baseline. That was what he was doing, and this was, like we like to call it, an Armani mode situation. He locked in on multiple occasions. There were 2 stretches, one early in the game and one late in that third quarter, I believe it was, where he just kind of took over offensively and just laid it to the Utah Jazz. And Yeah, you gotta love book nights like this, and when it comes easy to him.
Yeah, Michael Ramirez with a $4.99 super chat says, Robin, holy potassium, Batman, there's a banana in the Batmobile. Batman, quick, Robin, that's how villains slip away. Hashtag Kobe Bryant prove Espo wrong.
That was a weak Batman impersonation. It should sound more like, quick, Robin, the hat's out.
Oh, yeah, you nailed that one, huh?
I can't do it
tonight.
Yeah,
you nailed that one.
I don't have anything left. You did better. Congratulations.
You nailed it. It's tough when you call me out and then you fumble the play.
I choked it away.
You were
merely on the peel.
You were merely adopted into the accent. I was born into it.
Now you're doing Bane. Yeah, that's Bane that says that. Come on.
I don't know, man. I'm a banana, man. I'm not Batman. I'm Banana Man. What was bananas was the numbers for tonight. Let's take a look at by the numbers presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Of course, the only score that matters, 118-96. The Suns take down the Jazz, but Espo, when it came to field goals, the Suns shot 47.3% on 91 attempts, taking 11 more and making 13 more than the Utah Jazz, who shot 37.5% on 80 attempts. At three-point land, it was more of the same, 17 of 48 for 35.4% from the Suns, 12 of 37 for the Jazz, 32.4%. The only thing that the Jazz really had a massive advantage on was the free throws. 15 of 18 for the Suns, 24 of 35 for the Jazz, and rebounding a slight edge to the 7-foot behemoths in Utah, 48-44. But assists, the Suns had 30-23. Is it time to talk about the free throws, Espo? Because, my lord, the refs were awful, and Utah got a whole lot more of them.
For the roofs.
Yeah, I mean that. But it's impressive that you have that big of a discrepancy at the free throw line and you still win by 22. Like that's pretty massive when you look at it. And it was the kind of thing that hurt you earlier in the year when you weren't buttoned up in the other ways. Is it the refs? Maybe a little bit. Is it the fact that, I think this shifts a little bit when you get Jalen Green. You're putting more pressure on the rim as well. But let's be honest, the refs have always kind of approached the Phoenix Suns in that way, and it doesn't necessarily surprise me that they are a group that that the Suns just aren't getting the free throws. It's something that has plagued this team. Devin has had a tough time getting the line, even when he's getting fouled. There were a handful of times tonight where they called a jump ball on one that looked like he just got beat up. I mean, to the point where he didn't even argue with the ref. He just started laughing because it was laughable with it. This is the kind of game where if they had lost and you saw that kind of free throw discrepancy with some of the calls that were made, you probably have a bigger beef. Tonight, I look at it and I go, that's impressive what they were able to do even with that big of a difference.
I mean, this is nothing new for the Phoenix Suns, and nothing new for Devin Booker. Look, man, I'm so tired of saying if Devin Booker had Austin Reeves' whistle. I'm going to just start saying if Devin Booker had Lauri Markkanen's whistle. Because, what is it with every other star in the league? Literally every other star in the league gets an insane whistle. Insane. And Devin Booker just gets beat up night in, night out. And real quick, a tangent. You want to know how the hey, Kara just gave away a membership and Lost Highway received it. Let's go. That means the vibes are high tonight. Thank you so much.
Doing the Bat-Tusi. All right.
Ooh, and welcome, Kara. Lost Highway, to the members club. Let me see some emojis in there. Lost Highway, a little SMW emoji, an alignment emoji, an ahoy hoy emoji, whatever you're feeling tonight. Real quick, you want to know how the Lakers free throw bump is real? DeAndre Ayton is taking 3 free throws a game. That's all I'll say. Anyway, back to tonight's game with the Jazz. We just went over the box score, Espo. We've talked about Book. We've talked about Grayson Allen. We've talked about Mark Williams. I'd like to have a conversation about Ryan Dunn, if you don't mind. 31 minutes tonight, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 5 of 12 from the field, and 1 of 7 from deep. Ryan Dunn's rebounding has been spectacular, and his shooting has been the exact opposite. How are you feeling about his game tonight and his overall play a week and a half into the season?
Yeah, I believe he's 5 of 21 from deep for the year so far. Not the greatest percentage. His energy level has been good all year. He's been active on the boards. I think he's fouling a little bit more than you like. Eddie even talked about it in the broadcast tonight, where he's kind of got to accept that sometimes guys will get a step on you, and you got to let them take that shot and let it fall where it may. But the three-point shooting does concern me because we've talked about it. I mean, if he's at 33%, 34%, all right, you feel pretty good about it. But the way he shot so far this season is semi-concerning because he does get a lot of open looks. Tonight, at least 5 of those 7 were pretty wide open looks. And if he connects on those, this offense is really dangerous. If he connects at 35% on those, the defenders can't cheat off of him, which they did at times tonight and they have throughout the year. Overall, he's playing well, but you need to find those makes, and hopefully that one he hit late in the game where you could even see that he started to feel he was feeling the pressure a little bit because he dropped a giant F-bomb after he made that when they showed the replay. So hopefully that's the thing he needs to get going a little bit because it adds a whole nother dynamic to the Suns offense when he's hitting at a decent clip. And it's not just him alone. There's been a lot of guys this year in particular that haven't when they get those open looks connected on him. But Ryan needs to here in the near future because then you got a whole lot going on when it comes to Ryan Dunn, right?
Yeah.
You've got the defense, you've got the energy and the rebounding, and then you've got a threat from deep. That's a diamond in the rough at that point, especially where you took him in the first round. That's where you need. I need 35%, and I'm going to feel like this guy is going to make a huge difference for this team in this year and the coming years.
Yeah, I like that he's still shooting. That's the number one thing right now where his percentage isn't great, but he's not afraid to take them. And they're wide open shots. Like, they're really good generated looks, and I do believe he's a better shooter than 1 of 7 from deep. I do not think he's a sharpshooter. I think there is still room for improvement, but the shot mechanically looks good. He's not afraid to take it, but he is going to be a guy that goes through slumps. He's just got to not hit this low of a low over an elongated period of time. With Ryan Dunn, though, this guy's 1 of 7 from deep. He can't hit a free throw, and he's still one of the most impactful players in the court. I mean, this guy rebounding the ball has been spectacular. Double-digit rebounds this season. Tonight, he had 10, which is just amazing. 2 of those offensive rebounds. It's something we saw in flashes last year, but it really feels like he's committed himself to this. And as much as we talked about it in the offseason, and as much as I personally would like Ryan Dunn's three-point shot to drastically improve or at least get to a league average rate, if he still pours himself into the other stuff that he is already really good at, being a great off-ball cutter, and especially when Devin Booker has the ball, these little shovel passes that he's been able to find a big man, whether it was Oso or whether it's Mark Williams or whether it's somebody else cutting to the paint, he's really good at making those looks. Defensively, continuing to improve on not fouling and recovering on blocks and having good perimeter defense. Had a really good contest on Lauri Markkanen when Lauri was getting hot to kind of get him out of his rhythm. You need Ryan Dunn to pour so much into the stuff he's already good at that the three-pointer just becomes a bonus, not a necessity. And that's kind of what I've liked. I do think he'll shoot better, but I never want Ryan Dunn to feel like he needs to rely on his three-point shot to get minutes.
No, I don't think he needs to rely on it to get minutes. It's just crunch time is where if a defense can cheat off of you, it becomes problematic. Obviously, you didn't have to worry about that at all tonight, but what I loved was the aggressiveness turned into some big dunks tonight as well. And those are obviously as high percentage as you can get is just throwing the ball down. So he needs that aggressiveness. He needs to continue to do that. And I don't need him to be a world beater from beyond three. I don't need him going all-star weekend and winning a three-point contest. I just need him when those shots are that wide open to hit him at a semi-regular pace so the defense just can't cheat off of you. But when you're doing all the other things, he's going to find ways to be on the court, and hopefully that means he'll find a way to shoot himself out of this as well.
Yeah, 14% from deep is not acceptable for Ryan Dunn. I still think he played well tonight, and you could see that three-point make at the end was huge. Hopefully that can carry into the Spurs game on Sunday, because if you continue to not have Jalen Green or Dylan Brooks for those games, which who knows? At this point, I think all of us expected at least Jalen to be back by today, and he's still out, still day-to-day, according to Coach Ott. You're going to need Ryan's offensive output. And Ryan wasn't the only player that I think had a good game tonight without having crazy statistics. Just to kind of round out the starting lineup here, we haven't spoken on Royce O'Neal. You know, probably the least statistically pleasing game of him in the starting lineup. 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 8 from deep for Royce O'Neal tonight. But Espo, he has been the perfect piece for this team on both sides of the ball. If he continues to play like this, I know that we're going to want to keep him, but he also might become one of the most valuable commodities on the trade market for a team that is in contention, considering his contract. The Suns have been lucky to have Royce O'Neal playing the way that he has been playing, especially in Dylan Brooks' absence.
Yeah, and one of the things he does so well is be one of those cogs in the offense when you're passing it around, right? He tonight on a couple occasions could have pulled from deep, but instead made that extra pass to find the guy that was even more wide open. And that veteran presence can be extremely calming for a team, especially without Dylan Brooks out there. You had to elevate Royce O'Neal, and he stepped up in that role for him. When he goes back to that bench role, that's another great thing that you can have there as well. I'm not even reading what that super chat says yet. I'm going to ignore it while I continue to make this point.
We're so back. Be calm, see clearly. So back.
But you know, Royce does those little things. It's a great example for a lot of the younger guys on this roster as they're learning. He's another guy we've talked about as a streaky shooter right now. He's having some success when it comes to pulling from deep, and that's good. You ride the wave. Hopefully it continues until Dylan Brooks is back, and you can mitigate it a little bit more if he has a cold streak when he's on the bench. But Royce O'Neal is I'm pretty sure he's why Steven came up with the blue collar boys in the first place, because he's kind of that blueprint for a guy that just works hard, does everything that you want from him, and when he's hitting, he's hitting.
Yeah, with Royce, I've really enjoyed his passing. Now tonight, just 2 assists, and he screwed me over on my bet, by the way. I was on my way to hitting yet another bet this season. He screwed me over. I needed 2 more rebounds or assists from him. But the passing has been really crisp. Only 2 assists tonight, but he's been one of the main connectors in these massive amounts of ball movement for really good possessions for the Suns. Like, he has been a consummate professional in all of this. And I know sometimes you hear that and it's like, nah, who really cares? But I think this team has really needed that calming presence. And sure, he'll probably have his dip in shooting some point this season. There's going to be shots that he takes that you're like, what the hell? But then he has shots that he takes tonight where it's early in the shot clock. They dribble it up the court, and Royce O'Neal takes like a 30-something foot 3. And it's like, what are you doing? And he makes it. It's like, okay, like you kind of need a little bit of that effort attitude. It's what Dylan Brooks brings. Grayson Allen brings it from 3. We're seeing Colin get a little bit more in that. Book is getting more in that. A lot of efforts on this team, but in a good way.
Let's be honest. And when it comes to Royce, he helps the team be calm. And when he's on the court, he sees clearly when he's making those
I saw the
passes.
smile on your face. I saw the smile on your face. I knew something was cooking up. What do you say? How about we wait to make Ayrton read those super chats till Steven's on?
Hit that like button. Ayrton's claiming his mic doesn't work tonight. I heard him talk earlier. By the way, this is one of the most painful things I've ever worn.
The mask?
And I'm regretting the choice to do this. I should have just come as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, you and Bruce Wayne have the same bank account, so it would make a lot of sense. The thing I regret about my costume is it keeps on messing up my hair, but the Banana Boy survives, okay? Banana Boy will thrive. Okay, we've mentioned the whole starting lineup. I think it's about time that we get to the bench, Espo. You have to start with Colin Gillespie, 27 minutes tonight, 12 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, a steal and a block, continues to be a stock machine. He shot 4 of 7 from deep. All 4 of his field goals were from deep, and all but 1 of his field goal attempts were from deep as well. Colin Gillespie is what you said this, by the way, put him in 6th man of the year and most improved player conversations.
I mean, I think he certainly going to be on the list for most improved, and what he's been able to add. I mean, he's a key piece in this rotation, and I think will continue to. I'm impressed just with his ball handling skills as well. I mean, he's been unbelievable in getting defenders off balance and either making the right pass or getting a shot off. He had one point where he got a defender off balance. He took the step through and found a guy in the corner for a wide open look from three. I mean, he is really good. I think people undervalued that because he was a two-way guy last year, got buried on the bench behind Monte Morris and Tyus Jones. And now we're seeing kind of the benefit of what he can do, and he does a little bit of everything. And if he hits that three like he has been, he's going to be a very, very valuable part of this team, not only this year, but you're probably going to want to sign him long term. We've talked about it. Some national people were comparing what his jump could be to like that of Ty Jerome's. I think that's going to come to fruition just because of how damn skilled this guy is and how he can take over an entire stretch of one of these quarters just by running that offense and what he can create himself.
I know that this franchise is in a good position, but one of the biggest mistakes the Denver Nuggets have made over the last couple of years was letting Colin Gillespie walk out of their system. That was a pretty big L by them. The Phoenix Suns are lucky to have Colin Gillespie. I mean, Colin Gillespie has just been in such control, has had such poise, and has impacted the game beyond just offense. Usually you got a 6'1" guy, right? Okay, 6'1" guy is going to bring a whole lot of shooting and a whole lot of offense. He's shifty. He's a great passer. He's a good shooter. But it's the little things. The dude's an incredible rebounder. We say it all the time. His knack for it is honestly, for his size, probably second to none in the entire league. All the great guard rebounders are not that small. And the defense. Dude's a stock machine. He's getting blocks. He's getting steals. He's in the right place at the right time, picking up 94 feet. I mean, Colin Gillespie is exactly what you need out of a point guard in today's league. I don't think he'll ever be like a star starting point guard, right? And that's okay. He's going to be somebody that will be a star in his role until he hangs it up in this league. I think that this is Colin Gillespie's arrival season, and he's playing for a bigger contract, and I really hope the Suns give it to him because the next iteration of a good Suns team, Espo, there will be a place for a player like Colin Gillespie.
Well, some guys just have it, and that is Colin. He has an instinct when it comes to both sides of the ball. And, yeah, he's not going to be the most athletic guy, or the guy that's the most naturally gifted scorer, but he knows where to be, where his teammates are going to be, and how to get a high-quality shot as well. And that's why he succeeded at Villanova. That's why when he got his opportunities in the G League, he played extremely well. I mean, multiple triple-doubles while playing in the G League. It's one of those guys that skill set translates and travels wherever you go to play ball. And every team needs a quality guard on the bench that can help run things and calm things down when your starter is off the court. And this year, for as many problems as they've had it multiple times, I've never felt like the offense was without a rudder when he came in. So.
Yeah, no, I am so excited about him to continue to get better throughout this season as well, because this is still the first time that we've seen him get the investment like this and to be able to really feel like he belongs here and that he's comfortable here. The Suns had a great game tonight. Colin Gillespie had a great game tonight, and they set the tone. And that is the most important thing, was right off the bat, you knew that this Suns team was here to play. We have a head coach, Jordan Ott, on that tone that they set from postgame.
Then when you can set the tone with it, with your starting group, who at times in the NBA, that's hard. That's hard to come out and pick up full court. You saw Book's energy to start the game. That is a tone-setting start. And when you get a guy like that who is done so much in his NBA career to get out there, pick up full court, that shows. He doesn't have to talk anything. That's leadership. So that part was great from the start. Again, it was the starters, it was the bench early. Even when we didn't play great offense in that second quarter, our defense was able to withstand some of those laws and help us.
Did I just hear the L word, Espo? The leadership word? I mean, that's nice to hear, man.
Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? Not me.
But his body language.
Not me. I mean, yeah. No,
I love that sound. We need to clip that sound.
Devin Booker has always led in his own kind of way, right? It's never, it's not going to be, in certain ways that people want, but he went out there and he set the tone. He has on multiple occasions this year, but to Ott's other point too, I mean, this was a complete game from everybody. Like this was every facet working together. And yeah, you're not going to be perfect on any given night offensively. You'll have lulls like they did in the second quarter, but they did the other things to keep that lead and not let Utah close the gap. And then we're able to stretch it when the defense came back or when the offense came back. So this was all those little parts that we saw this year that we thought, oh, there's hope with them, all coming together at one time, leading to a 22-point win.
Yeah. I love the fact that he did single out Devin Booker. I don't think that usually needs to be said. We've talked about the different forms of leadership. Unfortunately, with the previous iteration of this team, that topic came up quite a bit. But you see it on Book's play. The effort is there. The defensive effort is there. He's not a perfect defensive player. You saw some times that he fell asleep tonight. Utah didn't take advantage of most of them, but it did happen. But Devin Booker is the ultimate pro. He'll go get his own shot. He'll get his teammates involved. He always cares. He's never checked out. And to go in off of the bat and to go off of a game that Devin Booker, honestly, took two really bad shots at the end of that Grizzlies game. I don't think we got into that enough in the last post game. Not good shots from Book. Could he hit them? Sure, but still not good. I know that he wore that one over the last day, which was his birthday, and came into tonight feeling like this was on him to help will this team to a victory. And he showed up on both ends of the court, and he did exactly that. The way that Dillon Brooks is a tone setter for this team in a out there crazy type of way, Espo, Devin Booker will still be the ultimate tone setter in a I'm here and you need to be here too kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's been all 11 years he's been in the Valley, is his work ethic, his attitude, everything that he brings to the table is, it's the old Monty Williams, I'm not calling you out, I'm calling you up kind of approach to things. And, I saw in the chat, somebody said, well, it was against Utah. This isn't a Suns team where it matters who it's against. You've got to, when it works, you've got to take that and run with it, because it doesn't matter. You were at a talent deficit in the eyes of a lot of people nationally and some locally. And so, yeah, it was against the Utah Jazz. So was the game a handful of days ago when you went down 20. So I don't care who the opponent is. When you put it together like this, it works out, and it looked good tonight.
Yeah, and we're looking good. It's Banana and Batman, and if you're watching us look good on TV, I want to remind you the party always continues over at gophnx.com, which means it's time for overtime. Steven will join us here in overtime. We'll get more sound from Coach Ott. We'll get sound from Grayson Allen as well. We really appreciate everybody hanging out with us on an October 31st Halloween edition of PHNX Suns. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you're new around here and you're loving the vibes, we bring these all the time. Sunday, we'll be back with another pregame and postgame show, but we will be doing a Wemby watch-along. So another watch-along here for PHNX Suns on Sunday. Make sure you are tapped in for that. Espo, you want to hear some more from Jordan Ott after tonight's win?
Yeah, but then I want to hear Ayrton read BComC Clearly's chats too at some point.
Oh, we're gonna get there. That's the overtime special. But first, this is Jordan Ott on Grayson Allen's 3-pointers and the team's rim pressure tonight.
I think Grayson, Colin, even Ryan's pressure on the rim, we need it all. We know we're not probably going to lead the league in rim attempts, but some of those guards getting downhill, getting into the paint, creating that advantage, and then spraying it out to the perimeter, again, 48 threes felt like we had some good high quality looks, and we know as we continue to build this thing out this season, when you get Jalen back, like that's another downhill guy that can put pressure on the paint, on the rim. Mark's been an added boost there, just his presence. So yeah, game by game, we're learning ways to get into the paint. I thought our cutting game was a little better tonight, which again, we talked about, and they responded, and I think Ryan had a late one, but yeah, overall, we need to get there more often. That's why it's good to get in transition, some layups. But in the half court, we're going to continue to emphasize it because it's going to be tough at times for us to get there. We need to get there, though.
Espo, it's so different hearing a guy like Jordan Ott give post-game answers versus Mike Budenholzer. When it came to points in the paint tonight against the 7-foot behemoths in the Utah Jazz, the Phoenix Suns put up 40. The Jazz had 34. Espo, if you can do that against the Jazz, you can do that against a lot of teams in the NBA.
Well, I mean, they're active. It's a lot of motion going on. There's a lot of cuts. He also mentioned when you get turnovers, it's a lot easier to get those points in the paint because there's some open looks as well. It's all about activity when it comes to that. It's not necessarily just about size because this isn't the 90s anymore. Points in the paint aren't coming because you're dumping it down to the big man and he's just backing somebody up. It's all about how do you find ways for motion to get down there in the lane. And we talked about it earlier. You heard Jordan Ott say it there. When Jalen Green gets back, that's going to come a lot more naturally because that's the strong point of his game is running downhill, essentially, to do that as well. But you could tell the identity of this team is leveraging that to get those wide open threes. He talked about shooting 48 of them, how that got those looks. That's a big part of what this offense is predicated on. Motion, get in the lane, kick it out for those open looks, or take advantage of easy baskets. This team's built like a modern NBA team, finally, from an offensive perspective, and it's refreshing to watch, especially when they're hitting those open shots.
Yeah, Steven will join us here in a second, but I found it really fascinating. He had some threads on socials about Grayson's rim pressure and the amount of points created from that and just how the Suns benefit. You know, Grayson Allen is a very underrated player in this league. A lot of guys just look at him as a three-point shooter. We've talked about his defense. You know, we've seen really high playmaking flashes from him, specifically with like a 13, 14 assist game, I think 2 years ago. At that point, man, that's been a while, but still we've seen that from him. But the driving for him is something he can certainly bring off the bench, but he is no Jalen Green. And if you're able to get gravity off of that, imagine what happens when they know that guy can boom on you. K-Ray's going to save the boom room so many times when Jalen Green is back in this lineup. The Suns clearly have a system, and they clearly have a system that is evolving, and it's a system that is plug and play. When the bench comes in, the Phoenix Suns still play the same way. When the starters are in, the Suns play the same way. Does it always work? Do the shots always fall? No. But over 82 games, that identity is going to be aligned, Espo. And I feel like it's been too long since we've said the word aligned.
Ding! Woo! Aligned. Look, I also think when they can get better rhythm on those alley-oops, on those lob passes, there's going to be a lot of fun dunks as well. There are a couple missed ones tonight, one to Ryan Dunn, one to Mark Williams. And when you start connecting on those two, those are easy buckets for this team as well. And, you know, that pick and roll, all this, there's still things to clean up. Tonight was not a perfect game. Tonight was a very good game. Tonight was an example of where when a lot of what you're doing clicks, it's going to be good. But there's still these elements that they can work on and get that much better. But yeah, there's an identity, there's an approach, there's a way that they want to play offensively, where the last 2 years, it felt like they were just kind of wandering in the desert.
Espo, I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the biggest things that needs to be cleaned up is the Suns finding a wide open Mark Williams in the paint and Devin Booker being able to throw lobs. Hell, anybody on this team being able to throw lobs. That's so many more points that have been left on the board that the Suns have not been able to capitalize on. Mark had 9 points tonight. Realistically, he probably should have had like 15, because there were multiple times where he was like, hey, Like he was open in the paint. The Suns need to continue to look for Mark Williams and find better ways to get him the ball. And Devin Booker, I love you so much. You're my favorite Suns player of all time. You're my favorite basketball player of all time. Throw a good lob, please. We were robbed. We were robbed of a Ryan Dunn masterpiece because Book threw that crap right above his head.
I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna lie, when he threw that, and it was just like,
don't bring it up.
That much. Did anybody else think of the
Stop
the finals lob?
Stop.
Like
Stop. It's true.
You're right. Go in the gym and practice like 100 of those. Man, because that could have been that would have been nasty.
Yeah.
And you hope that Jalen has a pretty good feel for that, because he's gonna be able to generate a lot of potential lobs to their big men, to Ryan, to Mark, even to Nick Richards if he's out there. Because when you're going downhill and you draw that defender, the guy over in the dunker spot's going to be open. If he's pretty good at that as well, it's going to be nice to watch.
Yeah. Those things I think will get better, specifically getting looks in the paint. A lot of people on the Suns team have not been used to playing with a center like Mark Williams. It just hasn't been happening for a really long time, even with the guys on this roster the last couple of years who have carried over. And they all get Ryan Dunn's had good looks. Colin has been able to find some really good chemistry with Mark. That's going to grow as Mark continues to play more minutes. Somebody who got minutes tonight, Espo, 17 of them, in fact, was Jordan Goodwin, who took some shots for sure. 1 of 5 from deep, 3 of 8 from the field for 7 points, but added 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal. Good defensive effort. Really like the defensive game from Jordan Goodwin. Couple too many shots for my liking in his first minutes of the season.
That's what you're going to get with him. I mean, when you put him into a game, you have to accept you're going to get the hustle. You're going to get that defensive tenacity, which led to some extra possessions tonight. But you also got to know that he's going to shoot. That's what he does. Some nights he's going to be great. They saw it with the Lakers. We saw it in preseason, right? But when he's not hitting, you also start to get in that point where you're like, okay, stop shooting, find a teammate, do what you're doing on defense, play within your own game. And look, this is part of Jordan Ott experimenting still too, right? He's trying to understand who can be in his rotation, what guys deserve minutes. In the first half, I'm pretty sure Goodwin came in instead of Nigel Hayes-Davis when they went smaller, which was one of the adjustments that Ott made against Utah, like we mentioned. But he got those minutes, and I think Ott's trying to figure out, does he have a place in this rotation? I'm not sure. I mean, he'll probably get another look when they play the Spurs on Sunday, but you gotta balance out that shooting. I appreciate aggressiveness, but you also got to understand sometimes you're not the main attraction on offense too.
Sure. And, funny enough, he hit a really big 3 and he hit a really nice little midi Jimbo step back. You can take the mask off if you need to. We're at overtime, man. I see your struggle.
Look, man, we don't reveal our secret identity. Plus, I look terrible. So I'm just going to leave.
It's got to fight through the pain. How about a 3-hour post-game show, Espo?
Hey, if Steven takes any longer, we're going to be at 3 hours. So
we don't have Steven quite yet. Hopefully he gets here soon. We will read super chats, but first, this is Jordan Ott on Devin Booker's offensive versatility.
Yeah, he needs both, and then even in the open court where there's no screen, he's just seeing the space in front of him and knowing when to attack. I think I've said this multiple times. He's going to see his gaps wherever he is, and we need him to be aggressive. Again, a lot of actions are for him for a reason, and he's just seeing whether he's on the ball, what it looks like. They changed coverages multiple times in pick and roll today, and it's different. It's different. He's seeing multiple different coverages in one game now. He's figuring it out. Obviously, a great night, 36 on 23 shots. Felt like he couldn't miss there for a good stretch. So it's good to see. I think we all feed off of that, but I would highlight his start and defensively what he brings to the game that is very underrated. How hard he plays. Last game, flew into the stanchion, got back.
Yeah. I was a little scared when he flew in the stanchion last game, but just need more of this from Book on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need more of this from Book all season. We know that this team's going to be predicated on just how well Devin Booker can play, and if they're going to reach that ceiling that a lot of people, have talked about being part of that play-in discussion, Devin Booker's going to have to be the man, and he has been on most occasions. Tonight, he took that to another level, and they're going to need him to continue to do so. By the way, Eric, can I at first I thought you might be like a tequila bottle, not a banana. With the way this with the way it is, I just keep
I'm
looking at
clearly a banana. That's very disrespectful.
Maybe I just really don't want to be in this walk-in closet and wanted to have some Halloween fun, and I'm seeing tequila. Maybe that's what it is.
Somebody said I look like I'm Pikachu's asshole, which was certainly something.
You know what? Now I can't unsee this.
No, I know, right? By the way, Pikachu, I got right there. That's my guy. That's my guy Pikachu right there.
Part of my problem is I haven't gone this long without wearing my glasses in a very long time too. I'm on like hour 3 without glasses, so you're blurry as it is anyways.
You know what? Probably for the best for me to be blurry right now. Either way. Steven's going to be on soon. Before we get there, Espo, let's do our annual let's fight about the young guys in the rotation. We did not see Rasheer Fleming besides for a minute tonight. Kaman Malawach also played a minute. Isaiah Livers did get injured, only played 3. He was out with a right hip contusion. Nigel Hayes-Davis played 4 minutes, but looked like Jordan Goodwin got those. 1 block, by the way, for Kaman Malawach, but we don't have to get too far into it. It is just clear, though, that those 2 guys are at the bottom of the bench. Everybody got minutes before they did, including Jordan Goodwin, Nigel Hayes-Davis, and Isaiah Livers.
Well, Pikachu's asshole, when you win by 22, what difference does it make whether the young guys play or not? Like, I understand that people are extremely concerned about this. I understand that is something that is important to a portion of the fan base. I brought this up online, though, before tonight. In his first 5 games, Kaman Malawach had only played 11 fewer minutes than Devin Booker played in his first 5 games. Earlier today, Jordan Ott talked about how these guys will earn their minutes when they get them at shoot-around, and that they are watching everything that they're doing in these practices and these simulated games and scrimmages, and that they will earn their opportunity. And I think that's what you have to do with young guys is you're not given anything. You have to prove it on the practice court. You have to prove a mastery of what you're doing out there, and understanding of both your defensive and offensive philosophies. And when you're there and when you're deemed ready, you'll get the opportunity. I do not care if other top 10 picks are playing right now. I do not care what the history of top 10 picks and minutes are when it comes to that. I've heard a lot of talk about that. Guess what? Kaman Malawach is 18. Picked up, or maybe just turned 19. Picked up a basketball like 4 years ago for the first time. Played 1 year at Duke. This is a guy that is raw in his talent, but immensely talented. And you know why they traded for Mark Williams on draft night? Because they knew Kaman Malawach wasn't going to be their starter. And you know why they didn't trade Nick Richards? Because they probably knew that Kaman Malawach was going to need a little bit of time before he was going to be your backup center. So I'm gonna let that play out. Rasheer, still a second round pick. I know everybody wants to talk about that, but he was number 31, still a second rounder. When he proves himself, I'm sure he's going to get some of those Nigel Hayes-Davis minutes. Or if Royce, falls back to earth and isn't playing well, or you decide to trade him, which very well could be something that you do, Rasheer will get his opportunity. There will be a time when these guys get an opportunity. They have to be ready to take advantage of it, and if they do, they will continue to get minutes. Jordan Ott is still experimenting with the rotation. Their time will come.
Yeah, and Steven's time is now. He joins us from the morgue. Steven, hello. Are you safe? Will the morgue collapse on you tonight?
Well, I got a banana and a fake Batman on the screen with me, so I don't
Oh,
know.
how
Y'all
do you
tell
know that's
me.
fake
Am I
Batman?
safe? Am I safe? You tell me.
That's real Batman and a real banana. I'm
real
organic, by the
Batman.
way.
What is this fake talk?
Steven, the Suns won tonight, a big win. And if you can hear us, I don't know if you could hear us right now. What were your main takeaways?
Yeah, main takeaways are when they set a good tone for a game, they have a good chance of winning. And that's pretty much what we saw from start to finish on the defensive end of the floor. This was their best comprehensive game on that end, and naturally that played to the offense. And we saw them do a lot of the things that they said they wanted to do, but we also have seen them evolve the process in some of the things that they're doing on the offensive end as well. So like we talked about since Jordan Knott came in, everything starts with the defense for them. And when the defense is setting that type of tone to the tune of a double-digit lead in the turnover margin, that's something that you can always win a game off of.
Steven, Hidden Sun Village has a great question. He says, wait, so Eric isn't a fake banana? If
I'm
fake
organic,
Batman?
bro.
Well, I thought that was obvious that Eric was a fake banana.
Anyway,
So I'll let that one alone.
we can get back to basketball. When Devin Booker turned it on in the first quarter, his best first half of the year, what seemed different to you in terms of his game, in particular in that first half?
I think he's a shark in water when the shark smells blood, and when he realizes that no one can guard him. Like I think he always processes that no one can really stay in front of him, but when he really, really processes it, you can like genuinely feel it through the screen or feel it watching the game in person. And it was that point on pretty much. He got a couple buckets in transition, and at that point, he saw the ball go through the basket a couple times, had his rhythm rolling, and from that point on, it was just bucket after bucket, and then they were playing the game on his terms pretty much the rest of the way. And you saw him have his best comprehensive game because of that. But again, it all starts kind of from the defense because you get buckets in the open floor. Now, when the defense is set, you're already in the rhythm, a lot less thinking, and there's a whole lot more reacting and manipulating of the game. And that's basically what he was doing all night tonight.
What did the Suns do well tonight that they weren't doing on Monday? A lot was made of, hey, this is the second time Jordan Knott's, faced this team for the first time in his career. Obviously, they couldn't get it done on Monday. How did they adjust as a team, and how did they execute on those adjustments?
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment was just doing better from start to finish.
I like that adjustment.
I mean, honestly, it's just that simple sometimes. You force 21 turnovers and you score 39 points via those turnovers. Again, that's something that against any team, if you're doing that and you're saying that that's – or 29 points off of those turnovers, rather. If you're doing that, that's a whole quarter's worth of points that they got off of turnovers alone. And that's in tandem with everything else that they were doing in terms of scoring on their end of the floor when the defense was set. So you get that part rolling and you're sharp with your defense. Guys are staying in front of the ball, so other guys don't have to make so many rotations and help decisions. Everybody staying at home. Now it's an easier read for the guys if there is a decision to be made. And you're stacking those type of possessions one after another, and that's coming with steals and forced turnovers. Like, that's a lot of kind of pressure that you're putting on opponents, especially when you're scoring on your side too. So now they have to press and have to work a little bit harder, be a little bit more creative, change lineups like Will Hardy had to do today, starting Kyle Anderson in the second half, playing a couple of other guys in the second half that didn't really play much in the first. That's all because of the Suns and their sustained activity on defense. And again, this is a team that has to have that side of the ball rolling the way that it was tonight for them to win, even when they are healthy, but even more so when they're working with fractions of the rotation.
Were you surprised that against a larger team like Utah, Jordan Goodwin got so many minutes tonight rather than turning to somebody with a little bit more size? Jordan Knott decided to go with a smaller guard that helped actually on the defensive end?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised, and I'll say that only because I asked them about that in pregame about their approach to guarding Lowry Markkinen because he's such a versatile piece in the ways that he works off ball. And he said they were going to switch things up, and I think that might be the first thing that stood out to me in this game because back on Monday it was Royce O'Neal that got the start on him, and we talked about Royce's strengths and we talked about some of his weaknesses. Navigating the volume of screens is not necessarily his best strong suit. For Ryan Dunn, that's something that's at the top of his powers on the defensive end. So you come into their second game against Utah, he sets the tone in how he's guarding Lowry and being physical with him off the ball, disrupting the rhythm a little bit, just staying attached, being a pest. And then when Ryan does check out, Jordan Goodwin eventually comes in and he kind of picks up the baton off of the tone that was set from Ryan Dunn defensively. And again, he obviously has a height disadvantage more than Ryan does against Lowry. But again, if you can get under those guys' legs and take away their dribble and crowd their airspace, it makes it frustrating for someone that's that tall to move around with that freedom of will that they typically do. That kind of played into the early portion of the tone that they set. Now, naturally, Lowry did end up getting his and then some in the second half, but it became something that they were doing to climb back versus doing something to stay in the game. And I think that kind of processing definitely helped them. So shout out to the blue-collar boys coming through the way that they did tonight.
Well, I'm glad you said that. You read my mind because the guy that we named Blue Collar Boy of the Night was this dude. It was Grayson Allen. Do you feel like that was a fitting anointment of Blue Collar Boy of the Night?
So
And
much
Steven
so that
Dunn.
I'll say that one more time.
Do you feel like Grayson Allen was deservedly a Blue Collar Boy of the Night? And do you have a camera?
100%. 100%. 1,000%. And I say that because you saw the rotations that he made defensively, doing the little things off the ball, especially just being anticipatory and, again, just being active and aware more than anything else. And then on the offensive side, it isn't the most blue-collar thing to do on offense, but just going and getting his feet dirty by going to get a paint touch, whether that be via cuts, whether that be via dribble drives, whether that be him at the point of attack, just finding space to go and get a paint touch. He was throwing alley-oops to Mark Williams. He was finding cutters along the baseline. He was kicking it out to Devin Booker for catch and shoots. Like, he was doing everything that you would ask for any lead guard that's playing next to Devin Booker to do on the offensive side, while also being gritty with what he was doing on the defensive end. So I think it was apt for Grayson to get a blue-collar nominee tonight.
Steven, great costume dressing up as the Void tonight. That spider has really good takes. We'll let you go so you can find your camera and make your way out of the morgue before Halloween is over. We do appreciate Steven joining us today. Make sure you give him a follow at Steven PG3. I'm going to flip this back around. That's bugging me. At Steven PG3. And you, of course, can get all the stuff that you need from the Suns, shoot-arounds, practices, and whatnot over there. Make sure you check out Steven. Big shout-out to him for continuing our coverage. Before we get out of here, Espo, do you have any final thoughts on what was the Suns' best game of the season?
No, but I need to hear the BCOMC clip.
Oh, you're right. You're so right.
They paid good money. I need to hear them, especially now that we are in overtime.
So before we get to Be Calm, I think that's a perfect way to end this. Ayrton, get those vocal cords ready. Heat up some tea. Let's do the other super chats so we could end on a relatively normal note this conversation and then get to Be Calm. Billy Barton with another super chat, MVP tonight. Billy Barton, besides Be Calm, of course, says, I can't wait to see how Jalen's athleticism plays with this team and Booker.
Agree wholeheartedly. It's going to be fun to see. I do wonder how much of an adjustment that will be as well in terms of getting used to playing alongside Jalen, working him into the offense. But that is a thing that I'll be all right with watching, even if they have to make adjustments, because I'm excited to see what he looks like in purple and orange.
Yeah, I am. Ayrton's got excuses. Oh no! Ayrton says his dogs will start barking if he starts speaking. I don't know. I'm kind of willing to let that ride.
I'll do it. I can read.
Well, okay, we got one more first.
Need to, all right.
We got one more first. Arizona 88 with a $9.99 super chat says, why isn't Kobe Bryant getting more playing time? He's a highly efficient and reliable shooter who could significantly strengthen this team's offensive rhythm.
because he's in training camp with the Valley Suns. That's the legit reason right now he's working with them, because he's going to be playing a large amount of minutes with the Valley Suns to continue to develop his game. And I think eventually he'll get his opportunity as well. But if Rasheer Fleming and Kaman Malawach aren't seeing the floor, I think it'd be extremely tough for Kobe Brea to find minutes right now. I think it's more advantageous for him to be with the Valley Suns and get those reps to eventually have the opportunity to make a difference here with the Phoenix Suns.
Hashtag Espo hates Kobe Brea. Hashtag Kobe Brea prove Espo wrong. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you the ISO, Espo, and just go crazy with the Be Calm, See Clearly talk.
You put yourself up. Ayrton, can you throw these up so I can read them? There we go. Booker Illy, and we are be together forever. Illy to little Colin. And I haven't seen I can't do this. I haven't seen my little baby in a while, Ryan Dunn. That's my sneaky link, sneaky. Sun's up, book call me back, and Illy Noah. Okay. Let me heal Jalen with that snatch attack. No shade to Jalen, but this is what happens when you don't clap it for me. He could be healthy fully, but didn't listen. Offer still stands. Also, if you need some pounds to gain, I'm on it. Just give me the summer, and all will be happy with Big Body Oso and Ryan Dunn getting it too. How many of them are there? Cutesy Legs came in looking all handsome. Is that it? All right.
Oh, I should have left myself unmuted, bro. I was dying laughing. Oh my God. That was so funny. That was so funny.
I got the salute emojis in too.
Not the snatch attack, bro.
Oh,
not the snatch attack, bro.
I think
that's
that's what happens in the boom room, right? Snatch attack in the boom room. He takes him to the boom room. Snatch attack.
Oh my God.
Maybe that's what, hold on. Maybe that's what we call steals this year. Maybe K-Ray can go the snatch attack.
I don't think we make that a thing. I'm gonna vote we don't make that a thing. Okay. I want to ground us a little bit on the way out. Hear from the Phoenix Suns leader, Devin Booker. We heard from Jordan Ott about the tone this team set, about the tone that Devin Booker had set. Now it's time to hear from Devin Booker on the tone the Suns came out with tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we got to do that every night. Just find ways to, figure out how the game's being played and just being the first to the fight. I think we've been playing really hard. I think we just need to play a little bit smarter sometimes with a lot of our fouls and giving teams free throws. But, other than that, I think tonight was, the closest to a complete game that we've put together.
So they snatched and they attacked. That was how they got going early. I mean, I love that first to the fight. That's got to be their mentality every game this season. Be the first to the fight. Swing that or take that first punch and then throw your own and be that more active team, because that's the only way you win when you're in a talent deficit. And I hate to say it like that, but the reality is when most people are going to look at their roster up against others in the West, they're going to say that other team has the more high-end talent. And that's why these guys have got to fight. And that's why they have so many gritty guys, if you will, like they talked about, because they know it's going to be their path to victory.
Well, their path to victory is really tough this next game. Might just be the best team they've played all year against the San Antonio Spurs and, of course, modern sensation Victor Wembanyama. Before we get to our pregame, watch-along, post-game show, Espo, we do have another Be Calm, See Clearly super chat.
Okay, I'll do it. That's my little boo right there. Snatch attack Suns.
We have SMW, Suns must win, and now do we have SAS, Snatch Attack Suns, when they're forcing turnovers?
I think we just need the SA, the snatch attack.
No, we're not.
I'm gonna
rolling
get
with
you.
that.
I'm gonna get you a Suns jersey that just says that on the back.
No, thank you. I'm okay. But I feel
Okay,
great
okay.
about everybody
Hold
that's
on,
here.
Hold on. You're okay with being called Pikachu's asshole tonight, but
Who said I was
snatch
okay
attack is where
with
you
being
draw-
called that?
draw the line?
Who said I was okay being
That's
called
where-
that?
That's where you draw the line. Snatch attack is where you draw the line. But
Who said I was
Pikachu's
okay being called
asshole?
Pikachu's asshole?
You're the one that brought it up. Like you
I said it
just
was funny. I didn't say it was okay to refer to me as
I mean,
such.
It's accurate. That's the problem.
I didn't say it was inaccurate either.
Somebody called me Timu Batman, which I actually think is being kind to what I look like.
Way better than
tonight.
Pikachu's asshole.
I mean, yeah. Somebody needs to Photoshop that for me. That's
No,
all I'm saying.
no, they don't. That actually doesn't need to happen at all.
Ayrton, I think you have a project soon.
Absolutely not. Let's get out of here before more Pikachu asshole talk comes up. Just a reminder, we will be off tomorrow, but we'll be back on Sunday for a pregame, watch along, and post-game show, all right here on PHNX Suns. Of course, you can follow the show until then at PHNX_Suns. We'll bring you the latest updates on Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks when the injury report comes down. You will hear that news from at PHNX_Suns. We are always on top of things. Of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. Shout out to the Freckled Mamba, who's lying as always about not being able to read Be Calm, See Clearly super chats. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. And here, before I sign off, real quick, it doesn't line up. It's not the same. Okay, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Let me just say this: if you need a snatch attack, Pikachu's asshole is here for you. Hoi hoi.
We all silly like the mayor.